But Matt, you mentioned about the schedule, and it is part of the schedule that it's changed, adding Mexico in, because during yesterday's press conference, Ben Kennedy also confirmed that Mexico City joining the calendar means that Richmond Raceway is losing one of its races. Now, Kennedy emphasized that NASCAR remains committed to Richmond because it's an important track in an important market. Now, over the years, we've seen tracks like Pocono and Michigan lose one of their race dates, but the fans responded in a major way by showing up to the single race weekends at those tracks in very healthy numbers. Now, it's no secret that Richmond has lost some of its magic as the action track over the years, but we've certainly seen some intriguing strategic plays out there in recent races. And of course, Austin Dillon's controversial win just a couple of weeks ago. So similar to Pocono and Michigan, do you think that dropping to one race will be good for business? And was it the right call to take away one of the Richmond races?
I think it probably was the right call. They're not getting the fans in there like they used to end of the noughties, beginning of the teens years, and you can see that from the way the track is. There's been grandstands going missing at Richmond every time we go back there for a race. There's another grandstand that's had to be pulled down for whatever reason. So New Hampshire was another one. We used to have two races. Used to very often open the chase. Lost its second date, gone down to one. Has a great turnout from the fans up there in the northeast. Michigan, you said, Josh, the same. Pocono, I mean, they used to have two races in the space of about 5 or 6 weeks for many, many years. It's no wonder that not everybody went to one or the other or both. And now they've gone down to one, and it's been a really good success. I think we're getting towards the stage, and I think probably NASCAR would say the same, that they would like to go to a lot more places once. There are a lot of places that maybe a couple of places maybe deserve to come back in that have fallen off the schedule, and some places that have got 2 dates that, you know, they could drop down to one. It's all good business sense, and there are a lot of places that we feel perhaps don't need to have 2 dates. Matthew again says this move will also help Richmond's attendance going down to just one race, just like Michigan and Pocono, as I've suggested. So if you're in the Virginia area and you want to watch NASCAR, you've only got one date to choose from now, and you need to go there and support the race. And Adam is saying the same as me, going down to one race in New Hampshire. So I think we've seen, especially since the pandemic, that, you know, if there's one event, people will go and they will support it. Fontana, exactly, Matthew, was the same, went down to one. It's obviously now completely fallen off the schedule, and we'll have to wait and see if it ever comes back in whatever shape or form. So out on the West Coast. So again, schedule pieces falling into play. We'll get it in full tomorrow. But yes, I do agree that Richmond was the next one on the chopping block, and had been for some time. And if things had fallen into place with Montreal, perhaps last year, as we kind of heard about, then it may have not had 2 dates this year as it has done, if that had all come to fruition. So it was the next one of the 2 race dominoes to fall over, I'm afraid.
And you talk about like schedule diversity too. Like I remember the longest time from 2001 to 2010, it was you had your 22 tracks on the schedule. You had 23 after Kentucky got added on, 11 to 18, and then you had the Roval added on. I mean, for so long, we had just, so many, like just the set amount of tracks. And now it's like, like you mentioned, since the pandemic around that time, I mean, there's been so much diversity and so many interesting things going on. I mean, next year we're going to have, 28 tracks on the schedule between the 38 events, or actually 29 tracks, between like the points races and the exhibition races. I mean, this is incredible for NASCAR, to have all these different tracks. It's unfortunate that, a track like Richmond has to drop down to 2 dates, because we remember the times of the 2000s where, there were iconic moments, seemed like every single race bumping, banging. But we've seen it with tracks like, Michigan with Pocono, like we alluded to, Auto Club Speedway as well, where, these tracks were hated. And when I say hated, like they wanted to fill it full of water and turn it into a fishing pond, hated. And so I think this will allow it to kind of, people to take a closer look at Richmond and say, hey, this is a pretty good track. There's some good racing, fun. And I think we saw it already with the most recent race that took place there. more fans showing up to attend, a better optics. I think this is a good move for Richmond. It's too bad, but I think this is a good move.
I agree with you both, because if we want to go international, we want to start having a couple more extra races. I think the calendar's big enough and busy enough that we don't need to start repeating as well. I mean, we've already started repeating this year and we're not even into the playoffs yet. So that tells you a lot that we could actually just get things a little bit sorted and a little bit better. Behind the mic, Matthew says, hopefully we can soon get to just one race in Phoenix, Las Vegas and Martinsville. Absolutely agree with you. I will say, though, keep the only track that deserves 2 races is Daytona. I'm going to say that now, because you get the Daytona 500 and then you get the Coke Zero Sugar 400, and they are 2 vastly different races.
I disagree with you, Josh.
Really? What?
I disagree. Bristol
with
we
2.
have a day race and a night race. I agree with Adam. I think Martinsville does need 2 races. It's a staple of the calendar. That would be like dropping Monaco off the F1 calendar for me.
Talladega 2, really?
And probably maybe Talladega. I think they're your core. And you have to throw in a mile and a half in there somewhere, Jonathan, probably wouldn't you? So you'd probably go with Kansas, as it always produces great racing and normally fairly sells out, or maybe Vegas. And you'd put the Vegas race before or after the F1 race, and you'd make it a great weekend, and you can have a dual ticket. I should be in PR.
You should actually. Get over there. Go on. Over you go.
I'm on the plane.
All the way around the world.
All around the world.
Hey,
exactly right.
We're playing hashtag spot the song
lyric.
Damn, I was going to get there. Yeah, we're playing hashtag spot the song lyric tonight. See if you can, how many you get in the chat. I thought
John, yeah, I agree. Atlanta probably the same, with 2 races at the same place that are the same distance and at the same time of day.
Doesn't work.
But when you can get a day race and a night race, Darlington,
That's
Adam,
what
probably.
Daytona's got
I'm not
that.
sure about Darlington. I think Darlington should be a one and done with a 500.
Hot take here. I think one of the Talladega races should be 400 miles. I like the 500-mile Talladega race. I think it provides great action. But you saw with like the Coke Zero Sugar 400, when you got a short 400-mile race, there is intense action. I think one Talladega race should be 400 miles.
Ben says Daytona needs 2 dates. The rest are negotiable. Almost every other series only visits each track once a year. Yeah, that's the point as well. And I think that's what I'm getting at, because with Daytona, you get the 500, you get that start of the year. Everything's new, everything's still getting into it. Then you get the 400 at the end of the regular season. It's a night race. And we did stage 1 in 28 minutes. It's like it was really flying by the other day. And it was fantastic action. Close 3-4 wides on the banking. And that's what you sort of need to end the regular season. And everyone in the commentary box agreed that we sort of don't want to go to Darlington now. We sort of to end the regular season. It doesn't feel right. We should really just crack on with the playoffs. So I'm glad this is only for 1 year. Ben says, and
for what it's worth.
For what it's worth. I'm not down with the kids. Brock Beard would tell you even Daytona just needs 1. I like the 2. Behind the mic also said that's why I say Martinsville. We basically get the same race twice there. 400 laps versus 500, barely a difference. I think it may be offer something different then. If you've got a road course, do one on the oval, one on the road course. If you're going to go back there, just add a bit. Like we've got Charlotte, we get the oval on there as well. Just add something different to it. Give us something different.
Go back to New Hampshire as a second date and use the road course at New Hampshire.
May as well.
Could do.
Go back to Road America. Just saying.
Yeah.
I'm only saying that because Road America has webcams and we can use them on the broadcast. That's the only reason I'm saying that. I can't wait. All right, maybe go to Bristol every single weekend of the year because Bristol has a webcam and we can use that webcam on the broadcast as a full screen. So just there. I also agree with Jonathan. There's no need for both Talladega races to be 500 miles. Heck, it could be 100 and it'll probably end with just as much carnage most of the time. This is the one thing I don't know. I want to, Jonathan, from a pure journalist point of view, Matt, as a commentator's point of view, I'm sort of in the middle here. Why do we need 3 stages? Because this is what I'm saying here. We've started the stage 2 podcast. Nothing ever. Stage 1, all action. Stage 3, everything's on the line. Stage 2, nothing happens. Literally, it's the boring part of the race. I've spoken to many people who go, "Oh yeah, we never watch stage 2. We always go and do something else." Why do we need stage 2? I see the point.
It's, stage 2, having 2 stages, with bonus points on the line. I mean, that emphasizes just performing throughout the race, because, think about it, like the max points being 60 points, and if you win the race, just on winning the race alone, it's 40 points, so if you, hacked off that one stage, it'd be 50 max points. It really emphasizes running well throughout the race. That's what I think it does.
Matt?
It's been a mileage-based championship, let's say, hasn't it, forever? 500 miles, 400 miles, obviously in the Cup Series. You can't just chop a middle out, although, I think it was Ben's point before, we could just have 100 miles at Talladega because, as we've seen fairly in the last few races, and you go back to the Daytona 500 this year, that all they were doing was running around trying to save as much fuel as they could for the end. It's just let's clock the laps off and wait until we go silly, crazy nuts at the end. John says, go to CTMP. It was cool when the trucks raced there. Yes, it did. It was. Apart from the fact that every race ended with a silly crash in the final corner coming to the checkered flag.
Yeah, but that's NASCAR now. That's NASCAR now.
Well, true.
To some extent, but I would like to see that truck return. I do agree.
Behind the mic saying Saturday night races are basically gone with the lack of TV ratings. I think there could be an influx in Sunday night races, though. I did find it interesting that the NBC ratings were announced today, and I put a tweet out about it. Also, Ben saying, why do we need stages? Me for 8 years now. We know, Ben. Even I'm saying that. I really don't like the stages. It gets complicated because we just have stage 2 with absolutely nothing happening. Whereas if that wasn't the case, you'd have race strategy constantly at play. I'm not going to we need to get to this lap and then we need to get to that lap and then we can know there's a caution coming for a pit. It doesn't work. It's killing some of the racing. Completely lost my point now with what I was about to say. What was I on about?
Sunday NBC figures.
Sunday NBC graphics. Thank you very much, Matthew. So yeah, they were released and they were the highest they've been on an NBC broadcast for a Coke Zero 400. I think that's fantastic because they tried something the weekend where every green flag lap was run without ad break. They were side by side. So the viewers at home had the ability to follow the entirety of the race under green flag and understand exactly what was happening. So they didn't get to an ad break and go, oh, well, this race is a bit boring. Let's turn off, because they didn't have the opportunity to do. They were hooked from start to finish. It's like having the intermission in the middle of a movie. If you're not liking it, you just get up and leave and you don't disturb anyone. So I kind of like that they're doing it a couple of times this year.
Well, also I think another factor too is last year's race and the year before, the race was preempted in about I think it was a dozen markets. And this year, the race only got preempted in one market. So that really helped boost the ratings too, because more people were able to watch the race on time and on the regular channel in their market.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd have something to say about that, because me and Matt are stuck here in the UK where we have Premier Sports coming in. So we always have it throughout the entire race as well. But I did have the NBC broadcast up on the commentary booth as well, which was great to keep an eye on. I heard maybe the Truck Series and Xfinity Series could go to Rockingham Speedway in next year. We've heard a couple of things, haven't we, about Rockingham?
We'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah, when the calendar gets released.
Tomorrow, Adam, if those rumours are true, because we're going to get all 3 series schedules tomorrow afternoon. So keep your finger
Wonderful.
Keep your fingers crossed if you want to go to the Rock. We don't wonder if they can go to Rockingham in Corby. That would be cool. Hey, Josh.
Yeah, I'd be right there.
Put rental cars out of Rockingham in Corby, and
you guys would have to get up in the sky to do that. That's for sure.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's quite very well done there, Jonathan. Well done. John says as well, NASCAR should make all green flag laps commercial free. I think they should. In this day and age, we should have all racing free on, like we can watch it all. No ad breaks in the middle of it. Maybe that's something that Amazon are going to have. Amazon won't have adverts. We think. We don't know that, but considering that they're online, it's doubtful they would. So we'll see how that works. I don't know how that would work, actually. They might have some during yellows, like promoting Amazon Prime videos, but we don't know how their broadcast is going to look. Excited to get Rockingham back on, and I'm more excited to get Matt and Josh to correctly pronounce Rockingham.
Rockingham.
Rockingham. Well, we've
Rockingham.
had. That's only because we've had Rockingham for years in the touring cars, pronounced as Rockingham. So Rockingham, it's quite hard to put the twang on it. I still remember when IndyCar raced at Rockingham Speedway in the UK. That was fun to watch as well. Lee Diffie called those races for the BBC over here as well. If you remember, that was when he was still working for the Beeb, and he called those races here. I'll send you the link later. Yeah, it was when he was working for the Beeb alongside Susie Perry.